Hello there, community. Jason Rahm here for F5 DevCentral, and welcome to DevCentral Connects. It's been a little while since we've had one of these, and so I'm excited to be here today. And what is that? Hold on just a second. Looks like my exposure's doing something weird. Let me stabilize that, hopefully. Maybe that, well, still looks like it's doing something weird. Anyway, welcome to the show. Today, we are going to talk F5 certification, and I'm excited about that. It's been a little while. In fact, I was talking to our guest, who I'll introduce here in a second, a little bit ago, and I think the last time that we had the certification team on was when I was in the hospital with COVID, and John Wagnon was talking to our guest psychometrician, which I didn't even know what that word meant when we first got into that, but it was fantastic. And so I'm hoping that Ken is going to bring the goods today. I'm excited about our conversation and about where we're going with the certification program. So with that, let me bring Ken on. Dr. Ken, how are you today?
I am well, Jason. Thank you very much for having me on. As you said, it's been a long time, and I've always enjoyed this. We've always had a good relationship with DevCentral, and kind of ebbs and flows, and I'm hoping that we can do some things in the near future to make that go up instead of down.
Yeah, for sure. So this live stream happened. I was in with DevCentral MVPs. They have a like a private group, not on an F5 property, where they kind of chit chat and all that. And I've got a leg in there, and they were mentioning that they got a message that there are some changes coming to the program. And so I wanted to reach out to you. It's like, hey, that actually sounds pretty intriguing. What are the changes, and how is that how's that going to benefit the community? So do you just want to jump in and talk about it?
Yeah, I mean, let's do it. I've got some slides to help illustrate this, if you want to do that. So so this is just kind of there's some slides I took from a presentation we did internally. So this is one aspect of my business. But the thing to talk about is one of the changes that most people should have seen is that we moved off of the CertMetrics platform for candidate management in December. And we moved to what we're calling the Education Services Portal, or ESP. So that can be found at education.f5.com. And there's a couple really cool things about this. One, you now use the same login that you log in with DevCentral to log into the Education Services Portal. So same login that you use for MyF5 or support or anything, you use that to get into the ESP. If your old certification account was to a different email address, you just go up to that support that's highlighted up there in the top right-hand corner and go to account merge. And you tell us what your old email address was and give us your candidate ID, and we will merge all those records into that ID. So that's kind of a cool thing. Minimizes one extra password, one extra set of credentials for everyone. And we've made it so that if you do change companies in the future, we've made it so that we can reclaim all those records and follow with you so you don't lose anything. A couple other things, not only does that support allow you to do account merge, but it also gives you access directly to our guide portal, which is at support.education.f5.com, which is a bunch of facts and information, questions you may have about certification or training are all there. And that includes the little help button in the bottom right-hand corner, which is a little chat bot that ties into our support portal to get help. So it's a lot easier to get access to help than we've ever had before. The other thing is you'll see that in the top left, you have Learn and Certify. So this is kind of a precursor. Under Learn, right now, you have access to all the links to the distributed cloud training on Teachable that people are using to get distributed cloud accreditations. And as we move forward, that is actually going to start having a lot more of F5's training content Hopefully our Q3, which is starts in April. Sometime after that, a lot of the training that you might want to see is going to also be there as well.
Oh, nice. So like all of our F5 University stuff will move over there?
Yeah, the stuff that used to be F5 University that became Learn F5 is going to be in that portal is our plan. So we can tie all their training and certification records together.
Nice.
And one of the things this is certification focused, but if you went to Certify and certifications, you'd actually see an overview of all the certifications that we currently have and your progress, your personal progress, as long as you're logged in, your personal progress on how you're doing on those certifications. And if you click on one of those certifications, like you see on the right-hand side for the CTS LTM, it shows you where you're at. Like, you need the certified administrator, got it. And I have 2 exams to take. And so it's a little bit easier to see where you're at and what your next steps are going to be. And we'll have a similar approach to a lot of the learning paths when we move the training over there. One thing to note, because there's so much information right on that front page, a lot of people are confused and they're like, well, but how can I see my certificates and stuff? So just a heads up, if you see the little person icon in the top right-hand corner, that's to your profile. If you go into my profile, you can see all your certifications, your exam results, and all that information. This is a transition. We kind of did our own MVP, minimally viable product, to get the product out there. And if you have problems, if you have suggestions, if there's things you'd like to see, I invite you to use that support button and open a ticket with us and give us your input so that we can actually make things better, because that's what we're trying to do. So that's kind of a big thing that we just changed, but that's not really what you asked me to talk about today. So
we're excited about the portal, and I think everybody's excited about less systems to log into. So that's all goodness, but that's the cherry on the top, right? This is the meat of the conversation here, right?
Right, which is, yes, we are in the process of re-engineering what I call the exam regime, the exams that are necessary to take the certification. So I want to be really clear before we even dig into this. We are not changing the Big IP certifications. So the administrator, the technology specialist for LTM, DNS, ASM, APM, although those are going to be updated to AOF and that. But in essence, we're not changing the certifications. What we're doing is re-examining the exams and the process that you take to achieve those certifications. So, and yes, I see in the comments, Heidi's listening in and pointed out that you have an awesome hat. So yes. It is. So let's talk about what we're changing. So this slide kind of talks about the before and the after. So in the old program, or current right now, you had to take the 101 exam to be eligible for the 201 exam. You had to pass both the exams to get the F5 certified administrator for Big IP. And if we look at that, at a minimum, we're talking about 180 minutes of testing time. And that's if you don't get the extension for a non-native English speaker. And we don't count traveling to a Pearson VUE data center and scheduling and all of that stuff. So a minimum of 180 minutes and $360 to pay for those 2 exams. Again, assuming you pass each one the first time. So that's the minimum cost. What we've done with this is we took both those exams. We took all the objectives that were encompassed in both those exams, and we rearranged them. And by the way, we updated them to the current version of Big IP, and we broke them into basically 5 smaller exams. So they're going to be the F5 CA 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. However, please note that there is no sequence. You can take them in any sequence you want. And each exam focuses on a specific objective. So any of you who've taken the exams, you've gotten a score report maybe that shows how you did on each section of the exam. These won't have that because each of these exams focuses on a specific section. And one of the ideas that we had behind this is that would allow someone who maybe wasn't as good on one section to kind of take all the other ones that they could nail and get them out of the way and then focus on just that one piece. And in the end, when we redid this, those 5 exams, they're 30 minutes long. They only have about 30 questions. They are currently only delivered online. So you don't have to worry about scheduling or setting a date or anything like that, although there are some hassles with online delivery, and we're aware. But because of 30 minutes and there's 5 of them, the minimum time is now 150 minutes. It's a half hour less than you would have had to take for the 101 and 201. And at $50 a shot, the minimum cost is $250. So it's $110 less than what you would have had to pay to get to the FICA. The other advantage for us is that because these are smaller and more focused, we believe it's going to allow us to be better enabled to update these as technology changes. In the past, if something changed in one objective on an exam, we had to kind of redo the entire exam. And now, if something changes in only one section, we really only have to update that one section, which gives us a little bit more efficiency and flexibility. So the exams, I see somebody in the chat said that they took one of the beta exams yesterday. Awesome, thank you. Because this, as everybody knows, this is part of one of the things we insist on doing. We insist on doing beta exams to make sure that these exams do what we say they're going to do, and that there is the highest quality. And Heidi will always point out that we did this. We made them smaller. We made them deliverable online. We made them cheaper. But we have not scrimped on making sure that they're still valid and reliable and they're the same quality that we've done in the past. The other thing I told Jason to remind me of is we are announcing something also new as part of this program that we haven't talked about much. And that is when we go to this new design for our exams, we are introducing a recertification exam that's independent of the exams you took to achieve the cert. So you get the FICA, or maybe you already have one from getting the 101 and 201. The next time you recert, you will be able to take one exam that recerts the entire thing. We are also, and this is kind of secret, we haven't talked about this, so this is just special for the DevCentral crowd, Jason. I hope you appreciate that. When we announce that recertification exam, anyone who has ever had the Big IP Administrator certification, whether it expired 3 years ago or last week or whatever, will be eligible to take that exam and take that one exam and reclaim your certification.
I don't know what you're talking about, Ken. I've never allowed my certification to expire.
Never, ever, never, ever.
No, that's awesome. I'm excited about that. I'm excited about being able to take the recert because, I let mine expire. I had the grand plan, right? I was going to go through the 101, the 201, all the 301s, get my 401. And then, life happened and got busy. And then I was like, they said, your 301s are going to expire in like a month. And I'm like, oh man, can I cram for the 401? And I didn't have time to get it in. So all of everything expired. So I'm excited about being able to research some of that stuff.
And this is the plan. I put a note on the bottom that the 301A and B redesign is going to be starting probably in RQ3, which starts in April. And we have to go through that process, right? We have to take all the objectives. We have to update them, make sure that they're still valid and relevant. We have to figure out how we're going to reorganize them. How many smaller exams is it going to be? And then we have to have people help us update and refresh those certifications so we can write some new questions. But that is the process. We're going to continue going through the 300, through the rest of this calendar year. Hopefully we can get all of those knocked down, and then we can start talking about the 400s and what we want to do there. Yeah,
I'm excited. You and I have talked. There's some really exciting things coming at the 400 level that aren't necessarily uniquely focused on Big IP. So I'm excited about where we'll go with that.
Do you see a comment about the certification will still be 2 years expiration? Yes. That is, again, I know there's a lot of debate about that. But remember the first slides I showed you about how we're going to be integrating training and certification finally? So I'm just going to put out there, one of the reasons I want to do that is anybody who's talked to me over the years knows that I am a big fan of continuing education. So now that we'll have certification and training on one platform, it becomes almost a trivial task to enable continuing education for people who take classes to leverage that to renew their certification. And as we put that plan together, as we get the training onto that platform, we will make more announcements about what that looks like. So certification is still 2-year expiry, but we are going to hopefully come out with some other options other than just retaking a test. Most people don't realize this. I am not really a fan of just making you take more tests. I know that seems weird, but I'm not. It's not the best way. We just have lacked the tools, and that's why I'm so excited about the ESP transition and the way we're approaching some of this.
So, like, I guess you're speaking like akin to maintaining your CISSP. If you go and do continuing education credits at conference things and labs and other things, those things at work towards some kind of a total. If you get that, it extends you and that.
Yeah, exactly. And
okay.
with the transition to the ESP and moving the training over there, it'll be, like I said, it's trivial for us to at least start doing that if you're taking F5 training. So as we release new training components, if you take those, we can record those. They can be worth points. I'm actually trying to work with other folks within F5. F5 does a lot of webinars. We do a lot of things on new technology and stuff, and I'm going to try getting them to start scheduling those webinars through the ESP as well. And that would allow us to have a calendar of events that include webinars as well as our own instructor-led training and what's available. But on top of it, if they run those webinars through there, we can do the same thing. We can add continuing education credit for attending the webinar that would contribute to renewing your certification. So it's something I've been trying to do for years, and we're getting so close, I can almost taste it. So hopefully by FY26, which for us starts in October 1, we will have at least a plan that we can release and let people know about.
Yeah. So, just so, to, summarize what I've heard, it's like, more focused tests that take you less time, they cost you less money. You can do it from the convenience of your home or wherever you're working. None of that sounds bad.
Oh, good.
Yeah. No. So, we had some comment, I guess, before we launched, Hansa was like, having pros and cons, the pros, many test questions, many concepts, but that, creates more focus by splitting them up. Right. Cons like higher exam price. Well, you've addressed that. That's not the case. So, thank you for the comments, Hansa. But yeah, it sounds like you've addressed all of those. And I'm excited about not just where we are with Big IP, but we have NGINX, and I know you don't have slides here for NGINX, but you've done some creative things on the NGINX side of certification as well. Will that I guess with the new platform and all that, will all of that start to be homogeneous in the way that we're testing?
Yeah, in fact, if you look at what we did with the NGINX certification and how that was designed, and then look at what I just talked about with the FICA Big IP as opposed to the FICA NGINX, you should see some similarities, because NGINX was actually the pilot for developing certifications this way. And so we're going to roll out the refresh Big IP stuff. We are working on trying to evaluate. We have limited resources, so we have to evaluate what do we focus on. Distributed cloud is obviously a really big component because we already have some Big IP certifications. We already have some NGINX certifications, and distributed cloud is an area where we're lacking. And as you and I talked about a little bit before we started the show, distributed cloud is interesting because there's really a segmentation between what we would used to call the bare metal, the setup, the networking aspect, and actually running F5 products on top of it. So someone could be using LTM in distributed cloud effectively, but not actually have to do any of the networking underneath it. And that's a concept that an old network engineer like me has trouble parsing. But in addition, distributed cloud is also the gateway to NGINX. So I said we'd talk about 400 level stuff later. Really, kind of one of the things I think is 400 is probably going to be, the 400 level exams are probably going to morph a little bit into more of that cross-product, how these things integrate and come together to create full solutions instead of just the big IP family.
Right. Yeah, and that makes sense. And to your point about distributed cloud, it's kind of like we were talking about this beforehand with Kubernetes. I can say the word Kubernetes. K8, yeah, or Kates. Some people say, yeah. Yes. But the Kubernetes family of technologies. There's some people that just want to build apps and they just want to deploy apps and they don't care about the underlying security or the networking. And so, they do have those different levels of certification for administration or security or, developer. And so that, makes sense for, where we would go with something like distributed cloud, because, not everybody cares about multi-cloud networking, but they do care about getting their apps deployed correctly. And so that makes sense. And we have a couple questions here. Will the new certifications available for taking at AppWorld in Vegas?
And if you're looking in the chat, I will point out, I volunteered to take the hot seat for Heidi, but most of you should know Heidi Schreifels. She is my right-hand woman. Most of the time, I think I work for her as opposed to the other way around. Actually, a couple years ago, Heidi became the principal leader of certifications as I took on a few other roles in addition to certification. So Heidi did. There's no like button. So the answer Heidi put in the chat, which is yes, the beta version of the new FICA Big IP exams will be available at AppWorld, so people can take them during that, and we are releasing that recertification exam at AppWorld, so it also will be available. So if anybody's attending AppWorld, maybe let that FICA expire. Hey, here's an opportunity to take that exam and get that certification back.
Quick question on that, the recertification. So you'd mentioned that the individual 5 are broken up by topic. The recertification is still a conglomerate of everything that was on 101, 2, or 1, or are some objectives in that dropped?
So if we get into the dirty details, one of the reasons we were able to make it smaller and easier and cheaper to get the FICA in the new program is we did eliminate some things from specifically the 101 exam that we historically had in there. And this was a source of debate for many years, actually. But anybody who's taken the 101 knows that about 80% of the 101 exam was really basic TCP/IP. And the question always was, should F5 actually be certifying people on that when there are dozens of other certifications out there that do that? And as we did this refresh, we decided that no, we really don't have the right really to say that we own TCP/IP and you need to know to do it and that. But that doesn't mean you don't need to know it. I mean, all the other sections on the exam are now entirely assume that you do have that knowledge. So it will be difficult if you don't have that knowledge, but we're no longer testing it. Yeah. And then as far as the recert exam, yes, you're exactly right. That recertification exam is basically bits and pieces from all 5 of those exams to validate that you still know the entire domain. And I should point out the recert exam is actually scheduled for 60 minutes, I believe, not 30, because it does have to take bits and pieces from all 5 of those exams.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So, with something like TCP, you're not going to get just hardcore TCP specific questions, but there may be some TCP profile questions that might lean into that TCP knowledge, right?
Yeah. So what we've always said, it's one of those things. We've always tried to eschew the remember type stuff. So like we were never going to ask you a question about what to enumerate the TCP/IP flags or something on an exam. However, we would ask you a question that required you to know TCP/IP flags in order to get the correct answer. So it's kind of by inference, we're kind of testing whether you know that. And so we've just gone up a level. So we're going to ask you questions. It may be a troubleshooting question that requires you to have that knowledge, and if you don't have it, you're not gonna do well.
Yeah. Well, and of course, so at the 301B, as you come around, a lot of that troubleshooting that's certainly going to be in there.
Yeah.
Question from Azalorab. How can we send you any of the feedback about the beta?
Absolutely using the ESP, or just send an email to support@mail.education.f5.com. Either one of those avenues will actually open a ticket in our ticketing system, and I will be prompt to assign those to Heidi.
Would you say that was support@mail.education.f5.com?
Yep.
Okay, I'll post that. I do have a comment from Ted over on LinkedIn. Ted, I don't know why the comments are not coming in on the streaming portal from you, but sounds awesome. Like Cisco's layout sounds great, really benefiting continuous training. That was back when we were having the continuing education credits, which is weird because then we have a question that came in from LinkedIn from Jonathan. When is the pilot phase ending? So the beta phase for these first 5
is the end of February.
Okay, end of February. All right.
I think it's it's technically the 28th, which I think is actually the end of February. This
now,
year.
Are the beta exams also $50, or are they?
So when we send out an email about the beta, there is a code that you can use to make them only $20. And please note that the betas are actually 60 minutes long because they have a lot of questions, and we're trying to whittle down, get rid of the bad ones. That's part of the beta process. So those are $20 with the code. Heidi, if you can send Jason the code, he can throw it up on the screen. And so $20 for that. And I had somebody complain, say something like, well, you're charging me to take the beta exam. Well, okay. So here's the thing. It does cost me money to deliver those exams. It's not free. And everybody who's ever talked to me, we don't have budget. So we try to do everything we possibly can on a small budget. And sometimes that means that we have to charge for things that I would love to give away for free. The other thing is, if what we found early on in the program is if we made them free, a lot of people would schedule them and then never show up. $20 seems to be about that right dollar amount where people are incented to actually show up and take the exam.
Okay, keeping up with questions coming in here. 301AB also going to be split into multiple small exams?
Yep, that is the plan, and that will start in our Q3 starting in April, where we'll start evaluating and analyzing what that will look like. We don't know until we go through that process, but yes, A and B will be removed just like the 101 and 201, and they'll be replaced with a series of smaller multiple exams in a similar fashion.
Okay. And Heidi's already answered this in the comments, but Amina, does it still have the 30 plus minutes for non-English? Said it won't be 30 on a 30-minute exam, but they're working on a shorter extension.
Default right now is an additional 10 minutes. So if you think about the original exams were 90 minutes, the ESL extension was a third of that. And so I think 10 to 15 minutes is what was likely going to be the extension for ESL.
Awesome. And I do have, let me put it up here from Heidi. That is the link. It's in the comments on YouTube for you LinkedIn. Actually, I can post that in LinkedIn too, if you guys don't get that over there. That is the article that she wrote that has the code in there.
Awesome. Thank you, Heidi.
Okay, did I miss any other ones? All the betas having 51 questions, and said beta, how do you answer that one as well? Beta exams have up to 60 items, but not all of them have that many. So I think that catches us up on both ends. So I think oh, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I did have one other slide that I want to talk about before we leave. So just to remember that.
Okay.
So that is the coming soon thing. So a couple things. We should be launching an official certification study guide learning path on Learn F5 by next week. And we have one requested that matches these new 5 exams for the F5CA. So people have been asking for it for a long time. And this is finally what we're going to do. We have training that directly aligns with the exams in the certification track. So the NGINX one we've had for a while. That'll be launching here shortly on Learn F5, and eventually it will migrate to the ESP. And the F5CA Big IP, we are expecting to get that content sometime in Q3, at which time hopefully the ESP is running. And we'll do the same thing with the F5CTS. Then the other thing, we've been talking about betas. We've been talking about redesigning the 301 and A and B. We've been talking about how we want to keep these exams refreshed. So we need you guys' help. So this is not something that I'm asking because I want to throw a burden on you. I really think that our community involvement in developing our certifications has always been our strength. I used to do a lot of certifications. I've had a number of them over my career. You know, we always used to joke about the vendor correct answer. And that happens because the people who are developing those exams are sitting in an ivory tower. They have one perspective on something, and that's all they see. And I really think that the community, having folks that use our equipment and participate in the program, help us design and write questions for the exam, is what kind of separates our program from the others. It helps get those other perspectives. You see things we don't see. And we want to get all of that. We want to make sure all of that is encompassed in this. So this is not just because I want somebody else to do work for me. It's because I think it's a critical component of our program. So for a while now, we have had a system where people can go in and actually participate in writing items for our exams. It's asynchronous. It happens all the time. To support that, we will be launching a new certification in the coming quarters, and that is for an exam development SME. So we have some training. I believe that course is available on the ESP right now. It's free, and it talks about how you appropriately write an item and what the process is. And we will be releasing a certification for that. Achieving that certification will get you automatically invited as part of the people who help us develop our exams, because now we know you at least know the basics. The other component will be, you know, if you want to write items for Big IP administrator, you need to have that administrator certification. So SME certification, admin certification, and then you would be automatically invited to continue to help us write new items and input and review items for that. So that's something I'm really excited about. I really hope that our exam development SME certification is something that we can, that you can leverage at other vendors as well. If other people are looking for SMEs to work on their certifications, the training and the certification, we did not build. We actually had our psychometric partners develop that. So it's pretty generic and sound for any SME for writing exams or developing exams. So we really think that that's going to be potentially a benefit for people to get that certification. So Heidi threw that in the comments, Jason, so that she wanted to remind me to talk about it. So I didn't want to lose that spot.
Absolutely. So there's a question out here. I know that will come. You know, we're not there yet. But or hardware specific things. I thought I was going big IP next on that, but that's more around hardware. Are there plans for hardware based things, or more is it just the software writing on hardware, regardless of what the hardware is?
See that goes back to what we were talking about with distributed cloud, where you have this segmentation of what does it run on versus what you're doing on it.
Yeah.
And so, yes, we have had conversations. Systems, basically a systems certification is something I believe we'll probably tackle when we actually figure out the best way approach to distributed cloud. Because it's very likely going to be not just R series and F5 OS, but also distributed cloud as the platform on which the other products run. And so that is very likely the direction we'll be going with that.
Okay.
Not sure how we're going to do the hardware thing yet, but we'll figure that out.
Yeah, I'm sure Jim McCarron will have an opinion about that. I don't know if you've gone through, and of course this is inside baseball, but his, all of his hardware guides internally are just a couple hundred slides each, and they're fascinating and amazing. And I can see all of those types of things being turned into study guides for hardware based certifications.
Well, we'll take anything we can. Jonathan, yep, I just saw that asked about 301, 401. So as we redesign these exams, they will be delivered first online. So that will be as we come out with a new replacement for the 301A and B, those will be delivered first online. Just for everybody to know, we will be making those exams available at Pearson VUE in the future. And this is because we do know there's some people who don't want to do online exams. I know it seems like everybody is telling me online. And then I did a survey and found out that there's a good portion of people who are like, nope, I don't want to do online. And so putting them at Pearson VUE is an option. And we're going to make it so that you can schedule, because there's still going to be smaller exams, 30 minutes, right? And if you're going to take the time to go to exam test center, hey, why not do 2 or 3 at the same time if you want? So we're going to make sure that that's enabled so that you can do that as well.
Yeah, I actually did my CCNP Cisco back in the day. It's like the final day of beta exams, and they were like, whatever, they were super cheap, and I think $25 a piece for the beta for all 4 tests that were required for the CCN. So I just scheduled it back to back. I took them all day, and just to cheapskate my way into my CCNP.
There's at least one F5 certified individual who basically did the same thing with all of our exams. Yeah. Did the 101, then they did 201, and then scheduled like the 301A, 302, 303, and 304 like within a day.
Yeah.
And did really well on them, scarily so.
Yeah.
Which gets to there's a comment from Pablo about plans to avoid cheating in exams. So there's a number of things here. So everybody knows that we haven't done online exams before, and there's a reason. Because especially when COVID happened and everybody just ran to online delivery, I hate to tell you, but all those companies did that to preserve revenue. They couldn't imagine going however long we were going to be locked down without making money on their exams. And sure as shooting, almost all their answers came out very shortly thereafter. So we waited. We waited for a couple things. One, the technology is a lot better now at proctoring. Just because they're online does not mean these are not being proctored, folks. And we're not going to tell you all the things that we're doing because, I'm a security guy, and security through obscurity does have some value. So the technology is much, much better than it was before, and we needed to redesign our approach to exams. Remember, I talked about the efficiency of having smaller exams that we could rebuild. Part of that has to do with the security. If we know or we discover that something is that something is leaked out, the whole idea of being able to refresh these faster, remove items, get new items into place, That's what this exam development SME, and that's what the smaller exams is all about, is to address those types of things. Lastly, yes, there are a bunch of sites on internet advertising that. Funny thing, some of those sites are still advertising answers to questions that were written 15 years ago that haven't existed for over a decade at the very least. There are some newer ones that have some content. We are doing things to address that from a legal standpoint. Again, can't necessarily talk about details on that, but we are doing things. And in reality, it's all about making sure that we do proctoring in the most secure fashion we can, and making it so that we can refresh these exams quickly and renew them. So it doesn't matter if an item gets out. And we are looking at things like using AI and that to generate items, but frankly, AI doesn't replace you guys.
Yeah.
It doesn't. Anything that the AI writes, we have to have people like you review anyway. So, we might use it to fill in the banks of potential questions, but then we still need folks, the smart experts, to actually review those questions and make sure that they're good before we ever put them on beta, and we'd still have to beta test them. So saves us a little time, but not much. What we really need is that involvement, that ongoing involvement from folks. And I don't know if we've ever mentioned, but if you participate in writing items, did you know that we have an end credit screen on our exams? Have you ever gone through the exam and seen that? Jason, did you know that?
I did not know that. That's news to me.
We have an end credit screen on our exams, and if you wrote or participated in helping write one of the items that was presented on an exam, you get credit for it. It's first name, last initial, so it's not too totally. But we give you credit, and I want that. I kind of like looking at it and seeing if there's my names on there. Like, yeah, I did that. I was part of that. So. Something to think about.
Here's another question. As you mentioned, 301 redesign starts in April. When can we expect the new certifications to go live? Until then, will the existing exams still be available?
So existing exams will still be available, and for even after we release the new ones. I can't really tell you how long because there's a lot of work involved. And frankly, Heidi and I are not experts. So it takes us getting a hold of experts to help us figure out what is relevant, what's changed, how we can reorganize those. So I can't tell you when, but to get to the address about the exams. So at AppWorld, when we release these new exams in production, not beta, but in production, which will be another month or so, probably around in the April timeframe is when the new administrator exams will become available. When we release those, we are retiring the 101 and the 201 once the new ones are available. With the caveat, if you had already taken and passed the 101, you will still be eligible to take the 201 to complete your certification. We're not going to make you redo stuff over again. I hate that. We're not going to do it to you. We're going to do whatever we can to make sure anything that you've already invested in the program is going to be valid and continue your journey.
That's awesome. That's good and expected. You guys take great care of your community. So
we try.
I'm thankful.
Not always
for that.
perfect, but try.
Yep. Okay. Well, lots of questions, lots of engagement. This has been awesome. And I do want to put up one more time the article. That's the link. It's in the LinkedIn and YouTube notes. Go read the article from Heidi, which gives a lot of these details, as well as the code to get your beta exams at $20 instead of $50. So, you can do it for $100. All five, all five are out there, right?
All 5 of the betas are available. In fact, if you're thinking about taking them, try to be a maverick. don't do them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Please do them 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Because we got a lot of people who have taken the number 1 beta and the number 2 beta, and we need people, the most people on number 5, and then 4 and 3. Take them in reverse numerical order. Doesn't matter what order you take them in, but if you want to help us out, take them in reverse numerical order.
I will go do that, and so I'll give you some feedback on
Awesome.
those. Now, I did have a question, I guess, on the beta. When I took the CCNP beta, passing the beta exams gave me the CCNP. Is that the case if somebody takes and passes these betas? Does that qualify towards certification for them, or is it just beta for beta's sake?
Nope, it will qualify towards certification. Just remember that betas are not immediately scored.
Yeah.
Right? So there's going to be a delay between when we close betas and we rescore them. But yes, any of the betas that you take, if once they're rescored, you pass them, they count. And if you pass all 5 of them, you will have the FICA, or you will renew the FICA that you already have if you already have one.
Ooh, so which way should I go, Ken? It's been, let me see, how many years ago did I expire my, so it's been a few years. Should I like just go the beta route and knock them all out, or should I recertify? Which you tell me, and that's the one I'll do.
I mean, I would really like the beta feedback on the five individual ones. And you know what? I'm not saying anything, Jason, but maybe you don't pass all 5. That recert thing's still available.
Oh, there you go. So okay, so yeah, so I'll just go in blind. In fact, I'll write it up for an article, because it's been a while since I've been into the nuts and bolts of making sure I'm keeping apprised of all of the 101 and 201 stuff. So I'll take them blind. I will not study for them, and I will give you good feedback on the experience, and I'll share that out to the community as well. I'm sure John and Peter are eager to hear my results, because we actually did this. I don't know if you recall, we came to an agility one year, and we all came in and took the did we take the 101 or the 201 at agility? It was one of them, but anyway, we were all sitting there, and I got stares at like 18 minutes in when I got up and left, because I'd finished my exam. And I don't think I'll have the same success this time. It's been a while, but we'll see.
Well, it shouldn't take you much longer than 18 minutes, because they're only 30 minutes long.
Well, there you go. Although the betas, I guess they have 60 questions, up to 60. Yeah. Maybe it'll take me a little longer, but okay. So
speaking of AppWorld too, anybody that's listening in that's going to be at AppWorld, we are going to be there. Stop by, say hi. Be good to see you. We really missed going to having AppWorld as a live event, and miss seeing all you folks that participate in our program. So please, even if you're not taking an exam, if you just have 5 minutes, stop by, say hi. We'd just love to see you guys.
Yeah,
and gals.
I will definitely come by and see you guys, and I'll take at least one of my exams there at AppWorld. And Heidi's saying, get yourself scheduled, because the seats are filling up. So maybe I'll hold off on doing it there, so people who are attending AppWorld will get their slot. Now, the real question, Ken, is not certification. Are you bringing your karaoke equipment, and is there a karaoke party at the wrap of certification? Inquiring minds want to know.
So no, unfortunately. One, it was easier when we did an event in Chicago, because I could drive and carry all the stuff with. AppWorld is in Vegas, and I don't know, traveling with all that stuff seems difficult. But two, AppWorld is a bit different than the agility events, and we're still getting. I think F5 is still trying to figure out how we want to do this going forward, and we don't have as much. We don't have as much space in certification as we used to. So kind of doing some of those things is a little bit more difficult, but we'll continue to figure out how we can. Well, it's the same thing. Is DevCentral having a party at AppWorld, or a get together at AppWorld?
Well, we have the booth, and so we'll have people swinging by, and we got some video and podcast work we're going to do. I'll have to follow up with Leaf. He's our grand scheduler, but we need to make. Tony has all his Rock Band stuff for Xbox, so maybe we'll have to have him bring Rock Band. So
Oh man, I used to be pretty good at that, but no. My point being is that I think before the pandemic, we had developed some reoccurring things where we had more get together, DevCentral kind of meet and greets, and certification kind of we tagged along with that, and we had some certification stuff. And I think this is really only the second real AppWorlds since the pandemic end, and I think we need to continue to develop that. So want to do it, but at the very least, stop by, say hi. I mean, I guess if you want to hear me do karaoke, I can do some a cappella stuff, but we're trying to get people to come in, not drive them away.
That's right. Maybe we'll have to do some barbershop quartet. We'll recruit a couple people, do some harmonizing.
Nice.
Yeah. All right. Well, Ken, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm excited about the direction of not just the certification aspect, but the educational aspect as well. I like to see us starting to consolidate properties and in bringing, all of our motions into less properties that make sense. And so, yeah, excited. Well, and I'll see you in a couple weeks.
Yeah. And again, thank you so much for having us on. We really should do this more often. I've missed seeing you, and I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much. And
Absolutely.
Thank you to everybody who showed up to watch. Love you all.
Yeah, absolutely. Take care. We'll see you in a couple weeks. Okay. So that is the certification update. I'm excited about it. I saw, a couple things come through. Daniel was curious about how I'd score. Yeah, same. It's been a hot minute. And so maybe we need to go head to head on that and share results. And then Sebastian jumped in at the end, and you're going to be running AppWorld. Heidi answered that one. Not only are they going to be running, but if you're there, exams are free. So, hey, use that as fuel to get your company to send you to AppWorld. Join us in Vegas, and you can come knock out some of your certifications as well. And with that, I think we're done. I look forward to doing this again soon. And for those of you who are coming to AppWorld, can't wait to see you there. So have a great day. Have a great weekend coming up, and we'll see you next time.
Well, thanks for checking out that video. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. While you're down there, hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. You might want to check out one of these videos over here. And if you haven't already, go check out community.f5.com. This is where all the DevCentral Connects hosts hang out, as well as the rest of the community. It's free to sign up, and we'll see you there.